It was in his 1838 book, Nicholas Nickleby, that Dickens brilliantly described the two very different sides of London. In this extract, Nicholas at last arrives in the big city.
They rattled on through the noisy, bustling, crowded streets of London, now displaying long rows of brightly burning lamps, dotted here and there with the chemist's glaring lights, and illuminating besides with a brilliant flood that streamed from the windows of the shops, where sparkling jewel, silks, and velvets of richest colours, the most inviting delicacies and most sumptuous articles of luxurious ornament succeeded each other in rich and glittering profusion. Streams of people, apparently without end, poured on, jostling each other in the crowd and hurrying forward, scarcely seeming to notice the riches that surrounded them on every side, while vehicles of all shapes and makes, mingled up together in one moving mass like running water, let their ceaseless roar to swell in noise and tumult.
Nobody's watching us,
As they
babe.
dashed by the quickly changing and
Nobody
ever-varying
likes
objects,
us.
it was curious to observe in what strange possession they passed before their eye.
Oh dear, not Clint.
Splendid dresses, the materials brought from every
Are you
quarter of the
okay?
world, tempting stores of everything to stimulate and pamper the sated appetite and give new relish to the oft-repeated feast. Vessels of burnished gold and silver, wrought into every exquisite form of vase and dish and goblet. Guns, swords, pistols, and patent engines of destruction. Screws and irons for the quick. Clothes for the
Oh,
young,
believe me, mate, you
drugs for the
don't.
sick, coffins for the dead, and churchyards for the buried. All these jumbled each with the other, and flocking side by side, seemed to flit in motley dance.
I've only got eyes for this little one, I'm afraid. What can I say?
Stern model for the unheeding, restless crowd. Nor were there wanting objects in the crowd itself to give new purpose to the shifting scene. The rags of the squalid ballad singer fluttered.
Have you subscribed to the channel, Clint? You may be able to see more of me on there, love.
Wandering confusion, guarded by one thin sheet of brittle glass, an iron wall for them. Half-naked, shivering figures stopped to gaze at Chinese shawls and golden stuffs of India. There was a christening party at the largest copy makers, and the funeral hatchment had stopped some great improvements in the bravest mansion. Life and death went hand in hand. Wealth and poverty stood side by side. Repletion and starvation laid them down together.
Oh, well, get subscribing and you'll see a lot more of me on there, my love.
Made infamous by Charles Dickens' magnificent Oliver Twist, the workhouse was a sad and brutal part of early Victorian life.
Nah, I don't want a man. I've already got one. He's bad enough. Hi, Gemma.
The simple idea had been to provide a place of shelter and a meal for those two.
Nah, Clint, maybe try plenty of fish, mate. Oh, what's the other one? Tinder.
The inhabitants
Might find someone on there that floats your boat.
Physical, back-breaking work.
Hi, Christopher.
These buildings were known as poor houses. But it was in that year.
I'm just depressing myself here, watching a programme about the Victorian workhouses. Tell you what, you don't realise how lucky you are when you watch something like this.
Now be forced to live in the workhouses. By making the conditions even worse than those endured by a low-paid factory worker, it was hoped to dissuade all but the desperate from seeking entry. Conditions in the new workhouses were brutal. The diet not much above starvation level, and no visitors were allowed. Until 1842, conversation was...
So where are you from then, Clint?
It was to an unwed workhouse girl that Dickens' great character, Oliver Twist, was born.
She's a tinker,
The book
Rachel.
contains some of Dickens'
She is a
most
little
biting
tinker.
social comment.
Oh, you're
And
from
is a damning
Pennsylvania.
indictment
Oh,
of a
you're a bit
society
too
which,
far. That's a
if
bit
it
too
ever knew
far
its
for me,
failings,
Clint.
for the most part, never cared. Thankfully, these appalling institutions have long since disappeared. But Dickens' description of Oliver Twist's early years in a workhouse are still powerful enough to chill the blood and sadden the heart.
Oliver was the victim of a systematic course of treachery and deception. He was brought up by hand. The hungry and destitute situation of the infant authorities was duly reported by the workhouse authorities to the parish authorities. And the parish authorities inquired with dignity of the workhouse authorities whether there was no female then domiciled in the house who was in a position to
When you find out that one, tell me the answer, will you?
and nourishment of which he stood in need. The workhouse authorities replied with humility that there was not.
What am I looking up at?
The authorities magnanimously and humanely resolved that Oliver should be farmed, or in other words, that he should be dispatched to a branch workhouse some 3 miles off.
Oh, no, where?
30 other offenders against the poor laws rolled about the floor all day without the inconvenience of too much food or too much clothing, under the parental guidance of an elderly female who received the culprits at and for the
Probably a dog hair.
of 7p halfpenny per head per week. 7p.
Probably a dog hair. Is it gone?
Good brown diet for a child. A great
Oh, Clint. God loves a trier.
quite enough to overload the stomach.
I'm not going to look up, because if I look up and I see a spider, I'm going to do me nuts, so I'm not going to look up.
Wisdom and experience, and she had an acute perception of what was good for a child. And she had an accurate perception of what was good for herself. So she appropriated the greater part of the weekly stipend for her own use, and consigned the rising parochial generation to even a shorter allowance than was originally provided for them, thereby finding in the lowest depth a deeper still, and proving herself a very great experiment.
No, Clint, it's really not, love. No.
Everyone knows the story of another experiment.
I think that horse has bolted now, at my age.
About a donkey being able to live without eating, and who demonstrated it so well that he got his donkey down to a straw.
Hi, Sean.
And would have unquestionably have rendered him a very spirited and rapacious animal and nothing at all, if he'd not died 4 and 20
As I
hours
say,
before
Clint,
he
why don't you have a
died.
look on Plenty of Fish or whatever websites do that sort of thing? Because it's a no from me, I'm afraid. Too old for all that.
The operation of her system. For at the very moment when a child had contrived to exist on the smallest possible portion of the weakest possible food, it did perversely happen.
Right, my friends, I think I'm going to go now because my hand's aching. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel. There's all sorts on there. All sorts of shit. So enjoy your day, evening, morning, whatever. Enjoy it. Oh, don't. Oh, Clint, you're such a tease. But if you subscribe, you'll see more of me there, my love.
Black humour, which Dickens so skillfully employed in his wonderful narrative, added power to the already shocking story.